the heart and soul behind every business. Stories. Welcome to Business Story of the Week, hosted by me, Joshua Laurie. From setbacks to comebacks, from tragedies to triumphs, we inspire entrepreneurs through conversations that matter. Witness the magic that turns dreams into reality. Whether it's your career, business, or life, your success is always one story away. This is Business Story of the Week.
Hi, this is Kody Thompson, and welcome to Business Story of the Week.
Fantastic. Ladies and gentlemen, that is Kody, the man himself. Kody Thompson. No H, by the way. You did correct that. But Kody is going to be our guest for today. And of course, I'm Joshua, your host. Every day, every week, every episode, we kick it off with a riveting question. And today's question is, can creativity really be the key to life's toughest challenges? Wow, I think Kody is a perfect guest to answer that question today, and more, of course, as he shares his story with us. Kody Thompson is an Australian entrepreneur and co-founder of WorkPod, a company helping businesses build high-performance remote teams. He also founded Lightning Sites, which grew into a multi-million-dollar web development enterprise. A former pastor with a background in youth work and graphic design, Kody is passionate about using businesses to make a positive impact and support efforts like his Love at Scale project. And today, Kody is going to share his stories and a whole lot more, his insight. I'm quite excited about this one. Kody, how are you doing? Thank you for coming on the show.
Good, man. Thanks so much for having me.
I mean, Kody, this is quite the very interesting journey that you have had, of course. And again, like we mentioned on there, you're a former pastor. You founded multi-million-dollar businesses. But before we get into that, where does this all begin? We need to know the origin story of the man himself. What was the young Kody Thompson like? Was he always creative? Was he always religious? What would the young Kody say to the Kody of today?
Yeah, I wasn't always a Christian, and I grew up in a small country town in Australia, on the south of Australia, a state called Victoria. So I grew up there in a country town, and yeah, I was just a normal teenage kid. I liked playing sport and hanging out with my mates. And I guess I kind of fell into youth work through my teenage years. I had, unfortunately, a number of my friends that committed suicide when I was in high school. And so that sort of, I guess, made me start to think about some of the deeper questions in life. And I ended up becoming a Christian. And then when I was finishing high school, I decided to go back and work in the schools and try to help young people, I guess, to have hope and purpose for their life. And so I was running leadership programs with teenagers in high schools. Basically, as soon as I finished high school, I went straight back into the schools and was working with high school students again.
Wow, that is very cool. I mean, of course, it's always tragic, right? To lose your friends in that way, and it's almost the situation surrounding it is almost difficult to get over it, and some people never do quite get over that burden. But you found inspiration, and you found that inspiration, and you shared that with other people, of course. And I believe this is around the time that you also started picking up graphic design. How would you draw parallels around that, like being a Christian and then going to ministry work and then also working as a graphic designer?
Yeah, well, for me, I was always into design, like going through, even since I was a little kid, I loved drawing. And then once I discovered, like, Photoshop came out when I was like a kid, and I like learned how to, like Photoshop my friends' eyebrows off and like cut their eyebrows and turn them into mustaches and just do silly things on Photoshop. So when I was a kid, I would play with those types of tools, and I did those subjects when I was going through school. And then I guess from my parents, the way that I was brought up, it was an expectation that you got a degree of some sort. And I didn't really know what I wanted to do, but I was good at graphic design. And so I just did a degree in graphic design because that's what I knew that I could, that I could do. But my real passion at the time when I was going through university was what I was doing in the schools. I just went to university to get the degree to keep, my parents happy and make sure I got a piece of paper. But I was passionate about, what I was doing as a youth pastor and working in the schools. And then, of course, later that graphic design skill comes back, and it results in the business enterprises that I was able to build later in life.
I mean, that is very cool. I mean, these things, steps in our journey or phases and stages in our journey, it's always nice for them to lead into things that validate, like, why did we go through this, or why was I interested in this, and always seeing that come to fruition, right? And one of these things that came to fruition for you was lightning sites, which is very intriguing. It's quite massive, but of course you started up with what, $250 at a startup on lightning sites. That's incredible. But now today it's bringing on what, generating over $5 million in profits. Kody, talk to us about that. What is lightning sites all about? Of course, it's web development, but how do you go from $250 to start it up to becoming a multi-million-dollar enterprise?
Well, it doesn't happen overnight, and it sounds good when you say it like that. But basically, I took on a volunteer position in a church, and they had no money to pay me. And so I said, don't worry about it. I'll just freelance as a graphic designer until you guys can afford to pay me. And so that was kind of my intention. I just thought that I would freelance for a while, and then I would go back to the ministry church stuff that I was doing. But what happened was the business took off. Just started getting lots and lots of clients. I was basically selling my time for money. I was doing any type of design work, logo design, flyers, branding. I was doing digital marketing work, automation stuff, building a few websites. I was just doing basically whatever. People would just pay for my time basically, and I would help them in their business. And then over the next 7 or 8 years, I realized that model wasn't going to work. And so I moved into building websites on a subscription. And so over the next 7 or 8 years, we ended up with about 800 or so clients on that subscription. We'd build them a WordPress website, and then we would manage all of the changes, the hosting, the updates for the website, all that type of stuff. At the time, there wasn't really many people doing subscription type businesses. Now it's very common. Yeah,
but the only business right now, business model.
Yeah, at the time, there was no one that I knew of. I got my inspiration from a company in Australia called WP Curve, and they sold to GoDaddy. A guy, Dan Norris, founded that business, and he had a WordPress website. Was it like a maintenance business on a subscription? But the way I made mine different was we would build the website first, and that would lock people onto the contract. And so my subscription service was much more sticky because people, if they were leaving, they would have to pay a buyout fee to get access to their website. So it worked really, really well. And then in August last year, I was able to sell that company to a US tech company, bought Lightning Sites, and I now focus on WorkPod.
Wow, I love that. I mean, again, the subscription basis, you go way back too, because you're talking about WordPress, and that back then that was probably the go-to website building platform. But I love that you also highlighted subscription as a business model there. Like today is probably the go-to business model for everyone, for most organizations. Back then it was kind of, I guess it was new, but would you say that was like a huge driver or a significant driver of your success, adopting an early business subscription model where people weren't so aware of it? But at the same time, how did you navigate that? How do you convince people to subscribe?
Yeah, well, it started, not a huge amount of thought went into it, to be honest. It was kind of like, what happened was I built a website for a CrossFit gym, and I charged them a significant amount of money for this website. And then another CrossFit gym saw the website and they wanted something similar. And I quoted them for the website, and they said, hey man, we just don't have that type of money. Can't you just copy and paste the website that you did for this other gym? We literally just want exactly what you did for them. So just give us that, put new photos in it, put a new logo on it, and that's what we want. And so, I had a brainwave and just said, look, man, why don't you give me $300? I'll copy the website, change the photos and text, and then just pay me $100 a month and I'll host it and manage it for you. And that was literally like, I just made that up kind of on the fly. And then what happened was CrossFit is quite a niche market, and a lot of people, like a lot of the gym owners, talk to each other, and it's kind of like a cult-like following, really.
Yes, it is. It's
CrossFit, they
quite,
kind of like,
yes.
and so what happened was I sold like a bunch of those in the next few months. And then I started promoting it. I created a brand called WOD Sites, and I started promoting it. And I think over the next 2.5 years, we sold like 300 of those websites to CrossFit gyms. And so, yeah, it was quite scary going from, charging 15K plus for a website to charging less than $500. It was quite scary at the start, but once you start to build up that recurring revenue, you get this real confidence because all your expenses are covered by the subscription every single month. Like, even if I could go away for 3 months and not sell a thing, and the business was still going to make money. And so that gives you this extreme confidence where you can work on the product and make the product better rather than just constantly chasing the next sale, the next sale, the next sale. Yeah, you can focus on building a better, building a better product for your customers, basically.
Wow, and it's quite the, again, it's like it's a very business journey, like every entrepreneur's journey, to kind of like start tweaking and always constantly making what it's always at the end of the day is the quality of what you're selling, right? Like the final product of that, and what value does it give back to your customers, to your consumers, to your clients. But of course, Lightning Sites, extremely successful exit as well. Congratulations on that, Kody.
Thank you.
And I believe like right after that, in the next journey, current phase of your life right now, you have founded WorkPod, where you create high performing work teams. Of course, on your website, you mentioned building high performance remote teams. What was the inspiration behind this, Kody, and how has it transformed the way businesses operate? And again, what makes WorkPod stand out in helping other business operate?
Yeah, it just came again, same as my other business. Like the Lightning Sites came from a customer asking me, for a specific service. And that's how I came up with the subscription model. It's the same thing with WorkPod.
Mhm.
Over the years, as I was building my team in the Philippines, friends of mine and clients that I'd built their website for, they'd seen what I was doing in the Philippines with my own team. And so they started to ask me for help. Like, hey, how did you do that? How did you find these people in the Philippines? How did you rent an office? How did you create a company in the Philippines? How did you do this? How did you do that? And so about a year before, about 18 months before exiting Lightning Sites, we had moved into a new facility that we'd grown out of our facility at Lightning Sites. And so we finished constructing a new building that had
Wow.
150 desks, and we only had 80 staff. And so we had this whole bunch of desks empty. And my thinking was, well, all these people have been asking me for help over the years. Why don't I just let them hire staff and put them in my office? And if I charge them for the desks, I'll get my office for free. So that was like my thinking. I was like, I'll get a free office, free internet.
Mhm.
It'll be awesome.
Mhm.
And then basically what happened was I helped a lot of people hire their first staff, and then they all wanted to hire more.
Mhm.
And now I had no space again. So we then built a purpose-built facility for 500 with 500 desks, and then over the next 12 months, we filled that. We filled that space, and that was basically how WorkPod was born. And then it outgrew the web development company. So my little side hustle thing on the side, it outgrew the web development company, and so it just made a lot of sense for me to hand over the web development company to someone who could take it to the next level. And I focused all my attention on WorkPod.
Wow, and again, like these journey, the phases and the stages that we go through life, I feel like it's all falling into place for you as well. I love how it was scaled. You were looking to just do it on the side, but it's scaled to a point where like, wow, this is actually pretty cool, and it scaled really quite fast. And I can see why it would scale. I can see why it would perform that quickly. But Kody, talk to us about that. Why do you think it was so successful? Why do you think, especially a very subscription based module, right?
Yeah.
WorkPod, would it like? I mean, how different is it from Upwork? How does it from all the other
Yeah.
services as well that are subscription based? But for you in particular, Kody, why do you think it was? Why do you think it scaled so fast, so quickly? And what was it you feel is the main driver of success for WorkPod?
Yeah, I think it's just because there was nothing in the market like it. Like you've mentioned Upwork and Fiverr, that's a great place if you want to find freelancers. Like if you're looking for someone to help you with like a once-off project, or if you're looking for just a few hours here and there, then those sites are great. But you do pay a premium for the talent, because talent are charging like a casual rate, and they lose about 20 to 30% of whatever gets paid. Upwork or Fiverr takes that. And so you end up paying a premium, but it's a great place to dip your toes in the water. On the other end of the spectrum, there's agencies called BPOs, which are like business process outsourcing agencies. And what they do is they hire the Filipinos on your behalf, and then they basically rent them to you. Now, some of them do a good job of adding value, but there's a whole bunch of them that don't add any value. And it's borderline like unethical, in my opinion,
Yes.
how some of these agencies work. They basically pay Filipinos a very small wage
Yep.
and then charge them out at 3 or 4 times the amount. And so when I went to the Philippines, they were the only options that were there. And so I ended up having to create my own company, and so that I could rent a building. And then once I'd rented a building, I could start hiring people. But then I had to do my own tax and everything in the Philippines. And so basically, when I was creating WorkPod, I was like, how can I help my friends to do what I've done without having to create a company, do their own taxes, etc.? And so basically, the business model is what I wish I had, which is you can use our services to recruit the talent, but we don't recruit them on your behalf. We connect them directly with our clients. So our clients hire them directly, which means there's no margin on the salaries. So they can control exactly what the Filipinos get paid. They can control like how they're treated, make sure they're treated well, that they can build their own culture, but they get to put them inside our infrastructure. So we've got beautiful buildings with great internet and backup power, and we've got on-site IT support, on-site nurses. We run massive social events for the staff every month. So we've got like this environment where our clients can build a team inside of WorkPod that still belongs to them, with their culture and paid directly by them. And so I just think it was what customers want. And that's why it's been so popular, because it was built basically on what our customers wanted and what I wish I had when I first started hiring in the Philippines.
I love that, of course. Of course, Kody, let me just thank you for that. Thank you for seeing that as well. You talked about what the customer wanted, and they wanted to be able to have the team and be able to have their culture as well, and have that team grow in that culture as well. But Kody, I think what I want to touch up on is you also thought about what the workers wanted. You also thought about what the employees wanted, and the team members that you hire out of the Philippines, of course. Kody, you are absolutely right when you observe that in the industry here, it's not fair.
Yeah.
They get paid very very little for an amount of work that is just it's just unethical. I love that word. There's no other way around it. But you found that gap, and you've proven that it's possible. If we don't put our greed first, so to speak, and not
Yeah.
to exploit people, so to speak, and there's this possibility to uplift both, right? Both customer and both team members and employees as well. I love that. Thank you, of course, on behalf of my countrymen and the people from where we are. And of course, I love that because I always advocate for the quality of talent that we have on over here. And I think it's very important to highlight that we are just as good as, I mean, our English is pretty fantastic, by the way. So
Yeah.
that's one. We got that one going for us, right? But and of course, if we're trying to talk about like quality ratio and the quality of work, I think we're pretty up there, and I think that needs to be valued more, right? And what I'm kind of going off tangent here, but I think that's how it's affected the general population is we've had to drive our value down further and further because that's how we've been constantly being treated by all these other organizations and companies locally, and we're thinking that this is the only way I could get an opportunity. But Kody, you've shown us that the opportunities are rich. There's everywhere, and there's great people that you can work with both sides of the business. And I love what you do with WorkPod. Of course, this interview wouldn't be complete if we don't talk about your business expertise, Kody. And you've had quite the different stages in your life as an entrepreneur, as a business owner. Kody, you're into art. You love creativity. If running a business was like creating a piece of art, where are you now in the creative process when it comes to WorkPod, or when it comes to the future of WorkPod? Would you say you are still what part of the business process where you could finally say that I'm finally putting on the finishing touches?
Right. Well, I think right now we'd just be drawing the outline. Our goal over the next 5 years is to create 10,000 jobs in the Philippines. That's our goal. So far, we've helped create 900 jobs, and so we've got 9,000 plus to go. And so I think we have the right model. That's why I can say we've done the outline. I think the model is right, and it's what people want. And now we just got to color it in. We've got to keep trying to find ways that we can add more value to our clients. Help the Filipinos to upskill themselves. There's a lot of Filipinos that I guess have a wrong understanding of what it means to get a remote job. Like, a lot of them just think it's going to be like a BPO, but we're trying to help people to realize that any job that can be done remotely could be done in the Philippines. It doesn't matter.
Yes.
It doesn't have to be like just a customer service job.
Of course.
We've placed paralegals, we've placed video editors, we've placed engineers, architects, CAD drawers.
Mhm.
Like, they're not just low-skilled jobs, as you were talking about before. There's people in the Philippines that have epic skills. And so we're trying to help upskill and train people and get them engaged with great international companies in Australia, New Zealand, Canada, the US, the UK. So yeah, I feel like we've got the outline. We know what we're kind of doing, but it's time to accelerate over the next 4 or 5 years to achieve our target.
Wow, that is very, very cool. I mean, Kody, 10,000 jobs in the next 5 years. Where are you at right now currently?
Yeah, we've hired 900 so over the last 2 years. We're hiring about 60 people a month at the moment. We're placing, but in order to get to 10,000, I need to find a way to get to 200 jobs placed a month. So basically we've doubled since January when I started full time as a CEO. Wow. But we need to do that 2 more times. We need to double from 50, 60 to 100, and then we need to double again from 100 to 200. If we can do that in the next few years, then we'll achieve our target of 10,000.
Wow, that is fascinating. And of course, Kody, once again, the gratitude is ours. Thank you so much for giving the talent over here a chance. But of course, I mean, it's very, very cool that you've shared all this insight and your experience, of course, in the business side of things, and getting to share your story as well here. Kody, having had success in a lot of businesses in different phases of your life, how are you seeing the future right now to continue making both impact in business, but also we can't forget your charitable efforts like your Love at Scale project? What is that like, and what are the future aspirations that you are looking forward to?
Yeah, well, we started a project in the Philippines about 7 years ago. We called it Love at Scale, which is essentially there's a school in a place called Kangatap. Kangatap's on Negros Oriental Island in the Philippines. That's up in the mountains near Dumaguete, where our offices are located. And so we just started to support this school. There's 250 students in the school, and the budget for the entire school is only like 25,000 pesos a month. And that's for like 250 students. So for those of us maybe listening from Australia, that's like $500 Australian a month. Or if you're in the US, it's like $350 US a month for the budget for an entire school. And so you can imagine that that's not enough to even scratch the surface of providing the type of education that these kids deserve. And so over the years, we've just basically been supporting that particular school. And so we've helped them with establishing computer rooms, and we've helped them with establishing like a nursing center on site, just basically whatever they need help with. Recently, we helped them just with umbrellas for the kids. There was a lot of rain, and the kids walk kilometers to school every day. So umbrellas and raincoats and shoes, and like honestly, it's very small things. Really, it's not anything kind of grand. We just try to to be there for the kids. It was really cool actually on the last trip that I went. One of the kids that was in the lowest grade they're the same age as my oldest daughter, and I got to take my kids to the school, and it was very emotional because I can remember some of the kids from when they were in their first year of school, and now they were in their final year of primary school at this particular school, and my kids were there, and they're the same age, and so yeah, it was just really awesome to be able to see the kids grow up, and that we've been able to play a small part in helping them means a lot.
And of course, Kody, it means a lot as well for your, for your efforts, your love, and the belief and everything that you've contributed as well to your to trust and to the Filipino communities as well. Of course, it's lovely. It's a lovely story, Kody. Thank you so much for that. I can't thank you enough. I'm happy. That makes me happy.
You're
These
welcome.
stories truly make me happy. And of course, it's always a dream of mine. I think a dream of any of my friends as well. When we talk about this, it's like we all just want to give back. We want to give back to the communities, especially here locally. And we've got you, who's not only giving opportunities but also giving back. Thank you so much, Kody. And of course, what does the future look like for Kody Thompson? And WorkPod. It's the website workpod.com. That, by the way, that is URKPOD. Where else can we find you, Kody? Where else can we learn more?
Yeah. Well, WorkPod, the website's the best place to start, WRKPOD.com. I am on LinkedIn. You can find me there. My name's spelled KODYTHOMPSON. So you can find me on LinkedIn or check us out on our website.
Fantastic. I mean, Kody, thank you so much, of course, again, for everything that you do. And thank you for coming on the show. I hope you enjoyed this one. Thank you for sharing your stories. I hope, we've inspired a lot of our friends and families and our listeners out there. You certainly have inspired me as well. Kody, thank you for coming on the show.
Appreciate it. Thanks so much for having me.
To all our audience and listeners out there, thank you so much for watching the episode. Thank you so much, guys. I hope you enjoyed this one. Go check out WorkPod.com. Go check out Kody. Find him on LinkedIn and all the socials. And thank you for watching the episode. We will see you on the next one. Bye-bye.
All right, so here's the thing. We try to get a little bit better every day, but we can't do it without you. So if you like the video, make sure to like and subscribe below. And if you have any comments, just leave them in the space under.